So without further ado, let's get started. A little bit about me. My name is Akshay. I've been at Meta for roughly around 6 years now, and currently I work on the Meta AI team. So, my work and my role, and the next couple of slides, I'll sort of walk you through some of the things that me and my team have worked on and built and launched. But primarily, I'm a product integration engineer, and what that really means is I help build features within Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp that revolve around Meta AI. My personal focus is leading the Instagram app. And so, if you've seen that blue circle show up, you can blame me for it. We have kind of been throwing the blue circle everywhere and, hoping you'll accidentally tap on it. But we build features within messaging and Instagram to help you talk to Meta AI to try to, bring in the power of these LLMs into product. I know there's a bunch of companies that are doing something similar, and we'll definitely have time to sort of talk about, um, you know, a lot of these things. Cool. So we have some exciting topics. I'll kick us off with, a little bit about Meta, less Meta AI, more Meta, and then we'll jump right into, the reason why you're all here. Meta AI, we'll talk about some of the features that are present within Instagram Messenger, WhatsApp. I'll also take some time to talk about model safety and sort of, what Meta does to make sure that, we're building these models and we're building these LLMs with safety in mind. I'll have like a very, very brief sort of, look into how you can get started with developing on Llama. Um, just quick disclaimer, I am not very, very deep into the actual Llama side of things. So if you, want to learn about how it was trained, I can try my best. But the machine learning model stuff, I am less of an expert in. But regardless, let's get started. So Meta's mission as a company is, to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. That is something that I'm sure you've seen that Meta as a product, Meta as a company has been able to do through the multitude of apps that we have. People use Meta to stay connected with friends, families, influencers, classmates, really anything and everything that exists in the world to discover what's going on, share, and express what matters to them. Um, Facebook's Meta's primary goal is focused around community. You will find Instagram to be a place where, there's communities, there's influencers. Facebook, you have a bunch of groups where people come together to find other people with common interests. I think it's a little less popular these days, but Facebook would be a platform where you'd have groups for hiking in, the SLO area, for example, or you'd have like anime lovers in San Francisco, and you could find like-minded people, talk to them. WhatsApp is pretty straightforward. I think it's a very direct messaging app, and it's gaining more and more popularity. Messenger is the same, and I'm sure a lot of people here use Messenger, more so Instagram to sort of post pictures, get to know each other, sort of put up updates on your life. Recently, Meta has been, moving more towards metaverse and sort of VR. I'm not going to go into that too much in this talk because it's, less about that, more about the AI aspect. But these are a couple of the priorities and things that Meta keeps in mind when, trying to build our products. One thing I do want to make sure that, in this room, we all have a good sense of is the scale that Meta operates at. We have connected more than 3 billion people, and there's still a lot more to go. We have a multitude of products, several which I've mentioned already: Facebook, Messenger, Instagram. Threads is a new and upcoming one, which is a competitor to, Twitter, or X as the world calls it now. There's WhatsApp. Workplace, I think, is something that people are less familiar with, but it's basically Meta's product for Slack. It's primarily meant for business use. Companies, organizations can sort of have it as a place where, employees, people can communicate, share files. It's a business communication platform. And then we also have MetaQuest, which is the VR headset. In terms of scale, It's, really, really cool because there's not many companies out there that operate at this level of impact. 3 billion people, use Meta products in some form or the other. A really interesting, really cool stat that I like to share in all my talks is every single day there's more than 200 billion reels that get played across Facebook and Instagram. And I feel like that's so cool. There's all these short form video apps, there's YouTube Short, there's TikTok. But even then, 200 billion plays just from reels. And that's a massive number. 200 million businesses, connect with their customers on Meta apps as well. Now, I've been talking about all these, the scale and all these numbers and things, but really, how does it pertain to Meta AI? The reason that you're all here. And I keep coming back to scale because AI, LLMs, all this technology, all of this really flourishes when you're able to put this tech in the hands of everyone, in the hands of as many people as you can. I think what we're developing, and not just we as in Meta, but I think what the world is developing with products like ChatGPT and DeepSeek and Llama. These are really, really cool and really powerful tools that I think in the long run are going to be very impactful and really help pick up, human society and help us propel much further forward. So, jumping right into it, let's talk a little bit about Meta AI. So we are on track to be the most widely used AI assistant in the world. Right now, 700 million people are using Meta AI monthly. Once again, this goes back to the concept of scale that I was just discussing. A lot of people get to use this, and there's a lot of really cool things that you can do with Meta AI, which I'll talk about in a few slides. But again, just keep this scale and this number in mind. One of the special things about Meta AI slash Llama is that it's completely free. You don't have to pay, there's no subscriptions. You can make unlimited API calls. If you want, you can run it locally on your machine because it's open weight. Meta AI as a product came out in April of last year. Since then, we have really expanded, we have really grown, we've brought it to all of our suite of apps, and it's integrated within search, within feed, within Instagram, within your stories, within messaging, and so on. And right now it's built on top of Llama 3.2, which is an open source large language model. So there's really a lot that you can do with Meta AI and such technology. Quick, scan of the room. How many people have interacted with Meta AI in any form or the other? If you've sent a message, okay, cool. I see several hands, maybe like 30% of the room. That's
Upwards
nice.
of upwards of that, I think.
More than 30%. Okay, I'm not able to see the whole room. But that's cool. Nice. So there's really a lot you can do. We're starting off as a text-based sort of chat application. Obviously, there's a lot more that we want to do and a lot more we will do as we progress. But you can do a bunch of things. You can create images, you can animate images, you can have it rewrite text for you. You can create videos, you can ask it questions, you can have it search the web. And really, that natural language aspect of LLMs is what makes this kind of AI really exciting. So here's, a couple examples, some videos here. Something unique about Meta AI is that you can invoke it in your group chats with your friends. So, if a couple of you are on Instagram, you can literally just tag like at Meta AI and then ask it a question and it will respond to your prompt. There's not many other apps that let you do this in a group and in a social setting. I think that's something that really sets us apart and is it's a pretty cool thing. I've had a lot of fun with it with my friends. We kind of just like, shit post and meme and just like mess around with it, ask it dumb questions, try to break it. It's a super fun thing to do. Like everyone can see the responses. So definitely check it out if you haven't already done that in your group chats. On the right, you can see an example of having Meta AI use the imagine feature, which is basically our sort of lingo for generate me an image. You can ask it to imagine, a bird or whatever. Give like a super specific description, and we'll do that. And then you can have it animate and create this, short like looping animation. Another cool thing that Meta AI helps you do is rewrite and rephrase messages. This is something that my team worked on directly. When you're putting up a story, if you have a caption, if you write something in there, you can long press and then have Meta AI help you rewrite it. You can make it funnier. You can make it smarter. You can make it in some specific type of language that you'd like. Really, it's the power is in your hands to do whatever you want. Mimu is personally one of my most favorite features. It's really cool. It's like a whole meme thing. But with this one, you can basically have Meta AI generate an image of you in some specific context. And so, oh, my image on the bottom left is gone. It's disappeared. Unfortunate. I'll try to find it and put it back in here. But you can do something like at Meta AI, imagine me wearing neon clothes, and it will run through the image generation process. You've already provided it your facial image. You take 3 pictures of yourself, you upload it, and then you can have it create a picture of you in, at a beach or in an anime style or retro or really whatever you want. Um, Unfortunate, I had a picture of myself here, like super jacked at the gym, my dream bod, but that image is gone. I'm gonna put it back. I'm gonna get this back here before we end this call so y'all can see what it generated of me. But here's a video on the right, real quick, sort of showcasing the process. And all this is available in app right now. So, if you have Instagram Messenger, you can just go in and be like, talk to Meta AI and be like, imagine me, in space. And if you haven't already onboarded onto the Mimu platform, then it will ask you to upload your image and go through this. Oh, there I am. Oh, it is there. Yeah, that's me. One day, one day. Cool. So from the launch of, I believe it was Llama 3.2, we added multimodality as well to the models. You can um, send images and ask questions within the same context. This is a pretty basic feature that sort of exists across different kinds of LLMs. But one thing that's really cool about Meta is you can send it an image and then ask it to make specific edits, which I have found to be super accurate, like very realistic, and it works surprisingly well. This is always something I'd recommend you to, give it a shot, try it out. It's much easier than going to Photoshop or some other platform and making modifications to the image over there. I use it for like, if I have a picture of something and I want to change some things or change a shirt color, you can very easily do that and works surprisingly well. This is also something that my team built out recently. Cool. We have also recently added voice. I think this was also with the launch of 3.2. There's a video here. I hope it plays. I don't know if y'all can hear this.
When is the next total solar eclipse?
Let me think. The next total solar eclipse is on August 12th, 2026, and will be visible from Greenland, Iceland, Spain, Russia, and a small area of Portugal.
Yeah, so we have voice. We try to like to have some fun as well. You can go into the voice menu and you can select voices of different personalities, different characters. John Cena, Kristen Bell, Aquafina, or a couple more. I think Michael Keegan Peele is also one of the voices there. We're working on more. We're working on custom voices. So a lot of really exciting things, to come out soon as well. Yeah, voice is something else that we are working on. Cool. Those are some of the many features that we have. Let's also take some time and talk about model safety. I think in this world right now, it's really important to build Llama, to build these models, the work that OpenAI is doing, the work that Google is doing. It's really important to have rigorous safety standards to make sure that, models don't get misaligned, that there is, regulation, and that terms and conditions, policies are all being followed. And so Meta as a company also makes sure to follow a very, very rigorous set of standards for model safety and any new model that we release. At a high level, when you think about safety, there's two layers of how we make sure models and the whole experience remains aligned and we don't, start violating things and saying, having the model give outputs that it should not be outputting. The first is alignment at the model level. And the way you accomplish this is with fine tuning. There's many methodologies used for fine tuning, but the two most common and the two most important right now are supervised fine tuning, which is basically the same as supervised learning. You sort of have a labeled data set that you feed into the model. So it can, take specific labels and learn, what's an apple, what's an orange, what's a good apple, what's a bad apple, what kind of apples should it not generate, what kind of apples should it generate, so on. The second one is reinforcement learning from human feedback. This is also a very similar concept to just reinforcement learning, where you kind of let the model do its thing, and then you have a reward function that loops back in and sort of teaches it what actions were good, what actions were bad, and in the case of an LLM, what outputs were good, what outputs were bad, and then it improves from there. Recently, reinforcement learning from AI feedback is also something that state-of-the-art models have started trying to implement and is becoming more and more present. Basically, there's other models which smaller, much smaller models, but those that are aligned. And uh, those smaller models then provide feedback on the outputs and feed it back into the larger new model that's being trained. Uh, Making, helping improve efficiency and speed uh, on the model alignment fine-tuning process. The second layer of alignment, which I think is also very critical, is system level alignment. And this sort of just means, you step out of the model and look at the platform that you're presenting the model through and just make sure that there is things like input sanitation. If the input contains, sensitive words, or it's something from block list, then we know that's not something we want to process and even feed into the model. And so we can reject requests right there. Similarly, with output validation, I'm sure this is something that y'all have seen fairly often if you're talking to ChatGPT and you somehow manage to have it start giving some response. Halfway through the answer or halfway through its streaming, it might just stop and be like, oh, I cannot actually continue. That is output validation as the tokens are being outputted and created. There could be other smaller models that are running on the output and sort of saying, is this good? Is this bad? Should we continue? Should we not? Or it could also just be checking within, a block list of words. So there's a variety of methodologies. There's other models out there that people use in conjunction with larger base models or instruction models to help ensure that there's input-output validation. Um, Once we have alignment or we believe we have alignment, something that keeps happening on the side is red teaming and testing, and these are probably red team is probably the most critical stage of model development, and it's something that needs to keep happening throughout. And unless rigorous standards are met, we don't consider red teaming to have included. Specifically, as Meta is developing models, we consistently provide early insights on what model safety should look like. There's a lot of state-of-the-art research out there, and Llama is open source. And so, we tend to try to collect as much knowledge as we can from other open source and open weight models, and collect research and ensure that we are meeting the bar that is out there. Internally, also, we have bars for what model safety is. There's multiple rigorous stages. There's a lot of teams that are built just for ensuring model safety, just for running different kinds of tests, for simulating attacks on top of the models that we're building itself to try to find gaps, try to find issues. And all of the results, all of this research that Meta does, we contributed back to the community. We help improve benchmarks that are out there. We help provide our research. We are one of the top leading open source models out there, and so I think it is our responsibility to make sure that whatever we do, we give back, to the world. And then there's this last one here, which is perform safety assessments on critical risk areas pre-launch. This one's really exciting. This one's really interesting. Any new feature that we build out, no matter how small it is, we cannot launch it unless we go through rigorous safety assessments. I can't get into too many details here, but I have an example. There was a project that I was leading 6 months ago, and we were building this new feature, and we weren't able to ship it for a while because of red teaming. Not that it was bad, but because we have to meet 100% clearance on red teaming, and there was like one scenario where the model was answering more than it should, or it was like not a good experience for the user. And so, we've still not been able to shift that. And I'm really sad because it's like my baby project. So hopefully, we're able to finish building it and, improving the model. But yeah, that's an example of sort of what red teaming looks like at Meta. And like I said, it's a continuous process. We look at outside research, we look at internal research. We keep learning what state of the art attacks look like, what developments are being made in the industry. We put that back into our own research. A lot of manual red teaming. There's a lot of AI-powered red teaming. So that's the automated red teaming down here, so we can scale effectively. And then ultimately, feeding it back into open source research. Cool. So with respect to getting started with Llama, I didn't go into too much, thorough details here. Unfortunately, I don't have a live demo for you. It takes quite a while. It takes some time to set up one of these. But there's the official documentation for Llama. There's also this Medium article that I find to be very helpful when you're trying to set up or run an instance of Llama. Generally, there's two very popular approaches to getting started and playing with Llama. If you would like to run the model somewhere else, you don't have a very powerful machine, that's fine. You can use this website called Hugging Face. They will run the model for you, and but you're able to fine tune it to the way you want. You're able to build it. You're able to build applications on top of this model that's hosted on Hugging Face service. If you want full control of your model end to end, have all your data locally, don't even want to, have it run fully locally, you can do that with Llama. You will have to download the entire model. That will require some space, that will require GPUs. So, as long as you have the right specifications and you download the right size, we have 1 billion models, 7 billion parameter models. We also have a 405 billion parameter model, is likely not going to be something you can run locally. But there's a bunch of options, and I'd recommend going to this Medium article. I think it goes pretty deep into how you want to get started, and then play around with it. If you want to get started building a chatbot, you can download the Instruct model. That the Llama 70 billion Instruct model is specifically tuned for conversational applications. That's a good place to start. Cool. So that is all I have for our talk. I'd love to open up the room for discussion. Feel free to ask me questions. Really anything, the kind of work I do. If you have questions about Llama, I can, try to help answer that, but no guarantees I will. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Awesome. Thank you for putting that together. We really appreciate it. I'll kind of be up here to help field some questions and make sure we get folks on Zoom. Feel free to send it in the chat, and I'll read it out here, and for Akshay to kind of answer and balance that with questions in the room. But does anybody have anything they want to kick off with? You can kind of come forward so we can hear you on the computer, or just yell it really loudly if you want to do that. I have a backup question, but I feel like people. All right. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. We got. Why don't we let?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm curious if there's anything you can tell me that's not like classified.
Mhm.
Can you give me an example of like a problem you solved recently when working with a newer model?
Oh, for sure.
Technical problem?
Let's see. So let's see. An interesting problem. So actually, I need to check if this is launched yet or not. Give me 1 second. If this feature is testing, I can probably talk about this. Otherwise, I'll have to discuss something else. Let's see. We have time until 2:30, right? Just I don't want to spend too long on my phone looking through this.
No, no. I was going to ask the same thing of you. Yeah, we're usually here until 2:15, even 2:30. So
Cool. Okay. Yeah,
whenever
sure.
you're, just let us know if you're routing up on anything. We can wrap up.
Cool. Okay. So this one I don't think is launched yet. So I'll talk about something else. But so earlier I mentioned one of the features that I helped launch last year was multimodality within Meta AI. And a problem that we were seeing early on is when you would send an image into the model and ask Meta AI to describe it, it would give a really, really long response. It was a really good response, but it was really, really long and having a lot of unnecessary details that like humans like we wouldn't really care about. If I send an image of an apple, I expect this is a red apple. That's it. That's all you need. But the model was outputting something like this is a red apple that is darker on the right side and lighter on the left side. There's a green small leaf on top that seems to have around 15 lines on it. I'm like, we don't need this information. Um, and so, that was really interesting because I am more on the product side and I was integrating this, model into the Instagram app. And when we would ask, describe this image, like it would start responding and the message would just, keep going on and on for like 30 whole seconds. And so what we ended up having to do there was I talked to the Llama team and we needed to go back and fine tune uh, the responses for multimodality a little bit to be more concise and focus really on what the most key elements of the image are and specifically ignore some of these smaller, finer details. So, the solution here was just fine tuning it, which I think is a lot of what these models tend to look like. A lot of red teaming outcomes also end up being like, hey, there's this issue we need to fix it. And sort of the thing to do there is if you can sort of have like, a static way to block it, like don't say this word, great. But if it's more of a, natural language sort of issue, then yeah, you have to go in and fine tune the model once again to not, give that kind of answer.